Hey everyone, welcome back to the Revit Mind. Today we're continuing our new series where we explore interesting ideas in automation, Dynamo scripts, and new workflows inside Revit. In this video I'm showing a unique Dynamo script I've been working on for the section box in Revit. As you probably know, the section box is a very useful tool that allows us to cut through a building in 3D so we can inspect different parts of the model. Normally, we select the building, activate the section box from the properties, and then manually adjust it in different directions to analyze the model. The issue is that this process takes time, especially when working with complex or rotated buildings, and the manual movement of the section box is not always smooth or efficient. That is why this script was developed to improve the workflow and make it more intuitive. Instead of manually adjusting everything, the script automatically creates the section box around the selected building and turns the process into a smooth animation-like experience where you can visually move through the model in a continuous way. This makes it easier to understand the 3D structure of the project and explore different sections without extra effort. This workflow can be very helpful for coordination, design review, client presentations, university submissions, and for improving your overall understanding of the model in 3D. So let's see how this script actually works. First of all, from the Manage tab you launch Dynamo and open the script you'll find in front of you. Once you open it, you'll notice that it's pretty simple and mainly built around three main nodes that you need to understand before running it. The first one is called Select Your Model. This is where you start. You click on the node and then select the building model you want to work on. It's very important here to be careful with what you select. You should only select the main building geometry, mainly the external walls of the project. You should avoid selecting the floor, the ground, or any landscape elements because including them can affect the behavior of the section box and make it expand in an unwanted way. So the idea is to isolate only the building itself, nothing extra. The second node is called Select Reference. I'll go a bit deeper into why this is important. This node is used to define a reference direction for the section box rotation. In many cases, your model is not perfectly aligned with the XY axis, so instead of having the section box follow a fixed direction, this reference helps the script automatically align and rotate the section box based on the orientation of the model. What you do here is simply pick a reference element from your model, usually a wall that follows the main direction of the building. So if your building is mainly oriented in one direction, you just pick a wall that represents that same direction, and the script will use it as a guide to align everything correctly. The third node is the Speed node, and this one controls how fast the section box moves during the animation. In other words, it defines how smooth or how fast the slicing effect happens when the section box moves through the model. You can adjust it depending on how you want the animation to feel, whether slow and smooth for presentations, or faster for quick reviews. Once these three nodes are set up correctly, you're basically ready to run the script and see the section box animation in action. After that, you go down to the Dynamo settings on the left side, and instead of choosing manual or automatic, you switch the execution mode to periodic. Dynamo has this option called periodic, and once you enable it, the script starts running continuously at set time intervals. So what happens next is that you'll actually see the building being cut gradually, step by step, like an animation. And that is exactly the goal of this script. Now you might be wondering how this actually works behind the scenes, so let me break it down in a simple way. Imagine your building is around 100 meters long, and we define a 60-second cycle. Those 60 seconds are basically the engine of the script, and they represent how the whole movement is distributed over time. Now every second inside that cycle matters. At second 1, the section box starts moving slightly. At second 30, it has moved roughly halfway. At second 60, it reaches the end of the building. The movement is controlled through the speed value in the script. This value defines how much distance the section box moves per second. For example, if you set it to 1.5 instead of 0.5, then at second 30 it will reach 45 meters instead of 15, and by the end of the 60-second cycle it will cover 90 meters. So the idea is simple. You adjust the speed value based on your model size so that the section box smoothly travels from one end of the building to the other within the full 60-second cycle. There's no fixed correct number here, it depends on your project. You just tune it until the animation fits your building perfectly. The last thing I want to show you in this script is actually one of the most useful parts, and I briefly mentioned it at the beginning of the video. If you have a building that is tilted or not perfectly aligned with the main axis, you usually face another issue, which is rotating the section box. In many cases, this rotation is not very intuitive, and you end up doing it manually until you get the right alignment, which can be time-consuming and a bit frustrating. But in this script, that problem is solved in a very simple way. You just select your building as usual, and then you pick the reference element, which defines the main direction of the model. Most of the time, this is a wall that represents the primary orientation of the building. Once you run the script, it automatically reads that reference and rotates the section box to match the correct direction. So instead of manually adjusting the rotation, everything aligns automatically with the model's orientation. This makes the whole workflow much smoother, especially when working with complex or rotated projects. If you're interested in the script, I've already published it on my Gumroad page. It's available at a symbolic price, and by purchasing it you're also supporting the channel so I can keep creating more content like this. Thank you for watching.